Hello, my name is Danny Cage, and this is my informative speech for Communication 220, and this is my audience.
Mike Moss, Red Apple. Gorilla Zoe, Boeing, Cupcakes, Red Velvets. T Fool, Law School. Which school? We don't know yet. Aaron Reeder, Kobe, hooped last night, now he's here. Banks, the owner of this house that we're in. Blue Allen, cameraman.
As you can see today, my cameraman has a lot of personality. And the one thing that I can say about him is that he is a mirror reflection of his father. We have to understand that fathers play an integral role in the development and the growth of their children. However, there are many homes that a father is absent, that a father is not there. And the role of a father is one that is important. A role of a father is one that deposits things into their child that they can use to be successful in life. Because we all know whatever you deposit in you is what you can bring out. There's no way that I can go to the bank and deposit $100 into my account and expect to withdraw $200 out. That wouldn't make any sense. I would not have the funds there. It would be insufficient funds. And unfortunately, nowadays, when it comes to withdrawing the things that our fathers have deposited into our lives, many kids are coming up with insufficient funds. See, what we have to understand is that the role of a father is one of a nurturer, one that has compassion, one that's filled with love, one that guides, one that ushers, one that corrects, one that loves. And with this role of a father, a child can be developed, a child can be born, a child can walk into and fulfill their fullest potential. However, without a father figure in the life of a child, sometimes these things don't necessarily happen. By emphasizing the role of a father, I'm not trying to de-emphasize the role of a mother, because we all know that the role of a mother is one that is important. However, when we go to statistics, and it's saying the births of families that are out today, right here on our chart, you see in the United States total, there was over 4 million total births in the United States. However, 33% of those were born to single parents. So that's 33%, that's approximately 1.4 million families that do not have a father in the life. The role of a father is what I call a Swiss Army knife. It has many points, many tips. Whatever situation you go to, you should be able to pull out that tip, pull out that point, pull out that screwdriver, that corkscrew, whatever you knew to get to that situation. So I know for myself, when I was growing up, my father was not in the home. However, I had someone to supplement as a father. But then I was also raised in a home too where there was a father present. Well, it was my biological father, but there was a father present. So I seen the variation between the two families and the two lifestyles. And what I seen with that lifestyle with the father present is that when the kid came home and they needed correction because they didn't do something properly in school, the father was there to give them that correction. Sometimes it took a loving touch and a conversation to say, hey son, you messed up. This is not how you was taught. You're not representing yourself well. You're not representing your family well. You're not representing anything that we stand for well. And so as a father, my job is to help usher you, guide you, correct you, and bring you back into where we're teaching you to be as a family. Sometimes that father may need to discipline that child by taking something away or putting them in timeout, or if you came from a family like myself, you may need a spanking. But whatever it takes to correct that child, it wasn't as a discipline thing regardless of whether it was a conversation or a spanking, it was to love that individual. We all heard the saying tough love, and sometimes we don't understand what tough love is until we've been in a tough love type of situation. And so because of the role of that father, the young man that I was raised with, one of my cousins, he was in life, he had the ability to overcome and adapt to situations because he went off of the teaching that his father had taught him. Now, on the other hand, I know another young man who did not have a father figure in his life. His father was in and out of jail. His father was there. He wasn't there. His father wanted to be a part of his life, but he was not. And because of that, that young man had to fight an uphill battle in life. He never truly knew who he was. He never had a sense of self. He didn't know his family lineage, his family heritage, anything about himself. When he was sick in the hospital at one point in time, he didn't know. He couldn't answer the questions of, does your family have diabetes, or does your family have cancer, or anything of this nature, because he didn't know his father. So the role of a father is also to teach. Not only to teach you the things of life, but to teach you the things of our family and show you what your last name of Cage means, of Banks means, of Allen or Williams, whatever your last name may be. Your father is the one that gives that name definition. However, without that father in your life, you may not never have a definition for your life. See, a father, the role of a father hand helps to mold a child. And we all know, so many of us in this room, you've been molded and you've created yourself based on your friend circle or what you've seen in life. And sometimes a father has to come through and break what you have made for yourself and recreate you into something else. They say, I was doing a study and they say the jail population is full of males, especially African American males, where the father was absent, where the father was not present. And what we can do is we continue that cycle. If my father wasn't there, then there's a chance that I'm not going to be there for my father. I can tell you I was raised in a home where my father wasn't there. Yes, my father paid child support on time. When I got my first job, he was there. When I got my first car, he purchased that car for me. When I wanted to play sports, he paid for everything. But I can't remember my father ever attending a game. I can't ever remember my father ever nurturing or trying to hone any skills or gifts, talents, abilities that were in me. None of that. So what I did, instead of saying I'm gonna be that same type of father, that's the example that I seen, I said I'm gonna take the example that my father was, and I'm going to enhance that, build upon that, and make sure that my son never has the same story. So it's very important to me not only to pay my son's bills and to get him clothes and shoes and pay for his extracurricular activities, because that's something that was given to me. It's important that I'm there for my son. So whenever my son has a game and he looks up in the crowd, who does he see? He sees me. Whenever things is not going right in the court and he needs someone to give him that smile or that thumbs up or that clap to say everything's going well, he looks towards me, his father. Yeah, his mother's sitting right next to me, and the expectation that his mother's going to be all that she can be and love him, that's there. However, there's something about a father that and the things that you get from a father that you can't get from your mother. Like I said before, if I want to have a sense of self and who I am, I don't go to my mother, I go to my father. But then we have to understand and recognize and realize how important, even if your father's not there, that there are people there who fill that gap. For me, it was my grandfather. It was one of my uncles who's now a minister. It was my uncle who was a hairstylist. It was a couple of mentors that I had at school. It was a counselor. It was a wide variety of people. What am I trying to say by mentioning all those people? That it took approximately 7 people to fill the role of one man. And I didn't value or appreciate all the men that were in my life because I wasn't getting the love from the one who I wanted it from, which was my father. Even still now to this day, I still thrive and want and long for a relationship with my father. My relationship with my mother can be rocky from time to time, and I can be like, I'll deal with that. We can get over that. But there's something about my father that when the relationship is rocky or something goes on with that relationship, it hurts deep inside. Because I feel like my father, in my essence and who I am, is entangled with who my father is. I believe it's important to, like my son, for example, he got in trouble at school the other day, and the teacher was able to call me and chat with me via email, and I had a conversation with my son about the responsibilities of being a student, about the responsibility of being a Cage, about the responsibility of being who he is and true to himself. And I was able to teach him all these things, and this is something that I did not have growing up. When my son's report card comes in the mail, I check it. When my son's phone goes off at 12 o'clock at night, I check it. If my son's TV's on at 9 o'clock at night, I turn it off. However, I can say, I'm not bragging about it, but I don't think anyone in my family, a parental figure, has seen one of my report cards since the 6th grade. I received all that information. I taught me. But I know how an uphill battle it was and how tough it was for me to try to create me. I seen what I wanted in other families and other father-son relationships. I took that, I built upon that, and I created who I am. And I'm at 34 years old. It took me 34 years to get it right. My son is 10 years old, and he's getting it right now. And so what I want to say is, for fathers, some fathers are there, some fathers are not. If your father is there, appreciate your father. It seems like we always love our mothers, and we love on our mothers, and we kind of disregard our fathers. If your father is there, tell your father you love him. Tell him you appreciate him. If your father decides that he wants to come back into your life, realize that you're going to get some questions answered, some answers to some questions you've been having. Embrace your father when he comes. If you had someone who played the role of a father for you growing up, appreciate that person. Show them that love because they didn't have to do that, but they did do it. I was talking to a young man today earlier, and he has a high regard for elderly people, and the reason why is because he's seen his father doing that. So oftentimes when I see a lot of characteristics and traits of young men, it's based off what their father did, not necessarily their mothers. So understand that the role of a father is a role that's important. So all of us in here are fathers. Some of the people out here in the audience via internet are fathers. Make sure that you embrace the responsibility of being a father. Understand that your role is to nourish and to guide and to protect and to usher and to shape and to mold your child. And that what you deposit in them is what they will withdraw. I once heard a poem from Clifford Harris, and it says, in order to understand my train of thought, you have to put yourself in my position. You can't expect me to think like you because your life is not like mine. So what that's trying to say is you have to be empathetic with situations and other people and understand the importance that someone has in your life. So like even for me, this speech right here challenges me to go call my dad today just to say, Dad, I love you. I appreciate all the sacrifices that you made in life with paying child support and taking care of 2 families and all these various things that you've done, and I appreciate you. My role when I leave here is to go to the people who acted as a father figure and say, I appreciate you for filling the void that was left behind from my father, and just to thank everyone and embrace them and love them. So understand that your fathers are important, your father figures are important, and just embrace them and show them some love. Thank you.
Yeah, 5 minutes. I was like, 10.